A very good morning. So today we are with the second day of our SCIK 2022 program. So today also we are going to start our roundtable discussion on social entrepreneurship and marketing trends. So I would like to cordially invite Dr. MGPP Mahindaratna, Senior Lecturer from the Faculty of Animal Science and Export Agriculture of Uvalasa University to start the roundtable discussion. Sir, this is over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And very good morning to all. And let me welcome you to this the Social Entrepreneurship Forum organized by the Social Enterprise Incubation Cell of Uvalasa University under the patronage of European Union, British Council, in a partnership with the Glasgow Caledonian University, University of Peradeniya, Kia International, and Chrysalis. Actually, we inaugurated our forum yesterday, and we had the inaugural session, and yesterday we had one roundtable discussion, and there we discussed what is social entrepreneurship and some models of social entrepreneurship and some success stories about the social entrepreneurship. So that this the particular roundtable discussion is dedicated to discuss the social entrepreneurship and marketing trends, and in other what the demand prospects for social enterprises. So to start with this session, we have invited 4 eminent panelists for our roundtable discussion today, and all of them are attending through Zoom platform. And to begin with, let me introduce our distinguished panelists. Let me begin with Dr. Chandra Ambuldeniya, and it is of course a pleasure and honor for me to introduce Dr. Ambuldeniya. Actually, no introduction is needed to Dr. Ambuldeniya. He is the founder, Vice Chancellor of Uvalasa University, and he led the way to establish the university with a unique set of the values. And he introduced the concept of entrepreneurial university, and he introduces and inculcated that concept into all degree programs of the university. And of course, the Uvalasa University is a brainchild of Dr. Ambuldeniya. And the social entrepreneurship, the project, is also a kind of an extension of his vision. So the Dr. Ambuldeniya is now serving as the chairman, the Technology Development and Innovation Arm of National Science Foundation, Sri Lanka. Dear sir, we are warmly welcome for you to this session. Thank you. Right, next I would move to the next the panelist, Professor J. Veeravardhana. Is an associate professor, School of Business, University of Queensland, and Professor Vijay Veeravardhana is an eminent scholar and a leading researcher in strategic marketing with specialization in role dynamics and capacities in innovation-based competitive strategies. And his research work has made an exceptional his research work has made an exceptional scholarly impact and notable impact to the industry. And on behalf of the university, I warmly welcome Professor J. Veeravardhana, and your presence is a great privilege for us. And then the next speaker, Mr. Vincent Bulat-Singhal. Mr. Bulat-Singhal is a lawyer by profession, and he's a social activist. And at present, he's serving as the vice chairman of Kehellala Multipurpose Cooperative Society. Mr. Bulat-Singhal has a wealth of experience related to the cooperative movement, and on behalf of the university and for this the forum, we warmly welcome Mr. Bulat-Singhal for this forum. Welcome you, sir. And next, the speaker, Mr. Lasantha Wickramasinghe, he is one of the next panelist. Mr. Wickramasinghe is serving as executive the chairman of Milco Private Limited. And Mr. Wickramasinghe is a strong information technology professional with 2 master degrees in information technology and manufacturing management. He is an experienced business analyst with a demonstrated history of working in the computer software industry. And I warmly welcome Mr. Wickramasinghe for this session. And with that introduction, we are about to start the session. Let me explain the format of this session. Of course, we are going to have 2 rounds of talks and presentations, and thereafter towards the end of the session we hope to have the Q&A the session. Then participants, of course, they can post their questions, and many of the participants are online participants, so that I invited you to if you cannot, even you can use the chat box to send you the questions, and we can then direct those questions to our speakers. Right, to start with the session, I cordially invite Dr. Chandra Ambuldenia. As we all know, the social entrepreneurship is not really a novel concept, and it has been there so years, and the significance of entrepreneurship, of course, has been acknowledged and established long time ago. We know that how important, how critical the entrepreneurship is for social and socio-economic development. So that here I would like to ask from Dr. Ambuldenia how significant or how momentous the social entrepreneurship in the present context of Sri Lanka. And with around this the topic, can you can of course explain your the views, and you can present your views, and it is over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manjuratna, for the warm welcome and the introduction you did lavishly. I also want to thank Professor Sampath Dhammadasa for inviting me for this event, and also Dr. Kumuduru for, I think, promoting social enterprise along with the professionals who have come up within the Uvalasa University since we initiated the social enterprise idea through entrepreneurship to Uvalasa University. I think, the idea behind social entrepreneurship is actually by the people, for the people, by the people, for the people. So by the people, it can be one or it can be many. For the people, it can be one or it can be many. It can be people, it can be institutions who are really people to people. Now, you can see on the international platforms, you can see F to F, F to B, B to F, B to B, and all kinds of, with a 2 in the middle. So basically, you asked me the question how relevant it is. You see, some of the things that I like to draw your attention to things that we really don't pay much attention in social entrepreneurship. Now, I think this session is also connected to marketing. So, social enterprise is an enterprise. Basically, as an enterprise, that people who come into a social enterprise is actually not very entrepreneurial, but they have felt the need in somewhere in the society, or they have felt the supply of really can add value in the value chain. I'll give you an example, not just one example, I will give you many examples, but the point is, I want to tell you that first and foremost, you need to really understand the theory and the concept behind this value chain. So I just want to take you, if, with your permission, to not a slide, actually, a chart that I would like to share with you. If you can enable me to share that, I will appreciate it very much. I hope you can see this screen that I'm sharing with you. Is it possible for you to see that?
No, so still we can't see.
You can't see. Let me see why I can't. I can't. You know. Okay. I see it here. Okay. I hope you can see it now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now this is actually what we teach students as the Porter's value chain. It's very important for all the senior people in business to understand this value chain, because they work without understanding this value chain, and they get into serious trouble at the end. So, for example, when we say that for, by the people, for the people, now in this value chain, there can be people involved everywhere in these 5 slices in this value chain. The aspect that we are now talking about in this session is about marketing. It's actually the marketing and sales is the 4th important slice in the Porter's value chain. So you can see the when we talk about primary level resources that we have in Sri Lanka, we can really connect it with at the inbound logistics level, where we have a lot of resources, including human resources, and so that how it gets organized into the operations level, where we start producing the material that we really want to take to the consumer. And then the outbound is what I said, that now it is not directly from the farm to the mouth. So you need a lot of other services in between to take it to the consumer end. You can see at the consumer end, now we had during the COVID time, we had a lot of problem getting the food that was produced in the vegetable farms to the consumers who are resident in the urban areas, particularly in Colombo and all the main urban centers. But the logistics were not organized in order to convey this material from the production end to the consumer end. So, that's the other important slice, which is the 3rd one. And then you can see the marketing end. Now, today at the marketing end, those days when we used to talk about marketing, we only realized that there is a advertisement in the newspapers, and there is a marketing manager, there is a sales manager who is responsible for selling, and this kind of very old-fashioned thinking comes into our mind. But now, as you would really realize, particularly our lecturers who are teaching students, that marketing is not that now. We of course have the fundamentals of the 5 Ps and things like that. But the point is, marketing is actually basically understanding the customer. Where is the customer? So filtering the customers out from a massive number of people who are in the waiting for material for consumption. And so how do we really serve the customers who really need the material, instead of wasting our machine gun bullets on unspecified targets? You need to specify the target and then take it to the targeted customers. So how do we do that? So in social enterprise, because there are numbers of people who are involved in this, we should really harness the skills of different people particularly on the IT side, we need to really take this, products targeted to the customers. And then, of course, after selling, we can't say that we have sold for example, we had a problem with aflatoxin recently, and a lot of food safety concerns that came up. So after serving, we cannot, stay away from the responsibility on the service aspect, particularly if you have, if you buy a mobile phone from the market, there should be a committed service to make adjustments in your phone, repairs or whatever it is, if it is, if it requires service. So basically, these 5 things are really very important in our minds. We need to build up this, and particularly now when it comes to universities, you are doing a lot of research. I mean, the research ends up after the document is produced, and your publication is accepted by a renowned journal, or it's published in the internet, and everything is done after that. But there is a lot of other things that you need to do to convert that into wealth. Now, in social enterprises, what we really do is, transforming, our intellectual properties into wealth. So if we don't think about the wealth that we can create, then I suppose a lot of the research is just merely an assessment of your performance at the end of research, and then giving you some marks for your ability to do a research. But I think it's a whole value chain that you really need to think about. So, and of course, you need to support the value chain with the other 5 aspects of this portal's value chain. So that is one of the things that I wanted to tell you. But I think, since, we have 5 other members in the panel today waiting to express their views, I wouldn't want to take your time so much, but you can ask me questions. I need to tell you that, I told Dr. Sampath, at the very beginning itself, because today I have to be at the president's office in about another 45 minutes time. So basically, I will be leaving you in another about 20 minutes. I will be leaving you, but I will be staying in touch with you while I'm going there online. So if I can respond to anything that happens during that time, I will be connecting you. But certainly I cannot connect with you after 10 o'clock. So basically, please excuse me if there is any lapse on my part in presenting my ideas to you. So, and also I want to thank the organizers for inviting me, and I will stop this comments at this point of time. Okay, thank you. I will stop sharing here.
Right, thank you indeed, Dr. Chandrayamul, for your valuable thoughts and the explanation. Of course, actually, you very nicely put the things into the context, and you are very firm on these things, the value addition, the importance of value addition to the national resource base, and then the approach of the value chain development. And as we know, our production and the resource landscape is very scattered all around the country, and we have to connect all these things. So that the importance of the value chain development and how we can link all these together to come up with these social enterprises. Very nicely you put these things into the context. So thank you very much for your the thoughts, and it's create really a good foundation for our the forum. Thank you very much, sir. Let me move into our next panelist. Right, I'll move into the Professor J. Veeravardhana. The significance of social entrepreneurship is been highlighted with the previous speaker. And actually, when we talk about this, the social the system and social development, all of a sudden our mind usually goes to this the subsidies and handouts kind of initiative. So that's Professor Veeravardhana. Could you please explain us the possibilities of creating the sustainable the ventures deviating from this, what we call this, the dependency charity, the models. And we are happy to hear from you, sir. It is over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mahindaratna, and also thanks to all other panelists, Dr. Imbuldenia, Mr. Bulat Singhala, and Mr. Vikram Singha. And also let me thank Dr. Kumtu Jayawardena, who has worked with me for many years, first as a PhD student at this university, and she's still working with me, and also inviting me for this very important forum. Now, I think there are, when you look at the topic of this forum, social entrepreneurship and marketing trends, let me, before what Dr. Mahindaratna wanted me to clarify, let me clarify two things here. What is marketing and what is social enterprises or social entrepreneurship? Now, about marketing, I think Dr. Mahindaratna very clarified for me that is marketing is about creating exchanges. That is, you have a company and in the private sector, and also you are creating value to your customer. For example, if you take Apple Corporation or Samsung, they are developing mobile phones and they are marketing, and the customers are making a payment. So both are getting value. That is, at the end, all are happy because the customer is satisfied and the company has made a profit. Now, as Dr. Embuldenia clarified, marketing is different from selling. And also it includes about understanding the customer. So it is very important to understand who your customer is. Now, selling is not necessarily thinking about understanding customers. Now, we have seen selling includes selling a politician to the electorate. Now, in the last presidential election in Sri Lanka, we saw that two major parties were promoting two candidates to the electorate. And I mean, in that campaign, you are highlighting the good things about this person and the hopes you are giving to the electorate and all that. And so in most of the time, there's no attempt to understand the customer and whether the customer will be happy or not. So same like you can sell a celebrity like Michael Jackson, promoting Michael Jackson to the audience, or selling an organization or maybe a country, promoting Sri Lanka as a tourist destination. So there are many things, but marketing is about understanding your customer. We argue that if you can understand your customer, we can make a better sale. And also at the end, everyone will be happy. Now, so when you go back to social enterprises, now social enterprises were born from nonprofits. We had nonprofits many years ago. I don't think we have any pure nonprofits anymore. When you think about old nonprofits, the classic example maybe Sarvodaya. In early years, they were primarily operating on the grants, government support or overseas donations. And they were looking after poor people, undertaking projects. And so during nonprofits, there were so many government grants, or there was a key donor, for example, Mother Teresa. When she was looking after the poor people in Calcutta, and she was supported by the church. The church has a lot of money, and there was no issue about the money. But things have changed. That's why the social enterprises were born. We have seen that in early stages, we saw that the social entrepreneurs or the social entrepreneurs are virtually virtuous people. They are sacred people like Mother Teresa. But we have seen that you can't be, sacred people anymore. You have to make some money if you want to continue what you are doing. If you are doing good things to the society, still you need someone has to pick up the bill somewhere. And so this is where the social enterprises come into play, where you are still continuing the good things you are doing, and you have to earn some money to support what you are doing. When you look at the customer in these two settings, in non-profits we had a person called beneficiary. It is similar to the customer in a private sector organization. Now, as I said earlier, Apple Corporation, I'm buying a mobile phone and I'm the customer. If I have the choice of making either buy an Apple telephone, mobile phone, or a Samsung phone, by doing that, I am voting either to Apple Corporation or Samsung Corporation. Now, that is which I do with my money, with my buying power. But in a non-profit organization, the people, your customers are poor people in the community, maybe poor farmers in a sub-Saharan region of Africa, where they didn't have water for many years and you are providing water pumps to them. Or maybe there were women in a particular region like in Bangladesh that was targeted by the microfinance scheme, or people who are struggling, disabled people who are looking for education or opportunities. Now, all these people don't have money, but they are still your consumers, and we call them beneficiaries. Now, in a non-profit organization, so your marketing campaign has no purpose of campaigning, focusing your marketing campaign to these people. You understand them, and your campaign has to be focused on the people who are donating money, what we call donors, and also the volunteers who are providing voluntary labor. Now, in many countries and for many years, many organizations were operating with volunteers. For example, we have an organization called Salvation Army. You have seen that in Colombo. You have that in Brisbane, where in Australia, there are about 14,000 volunteers. Every year they have a fundraising campaign. They go door knocking and collecting money. The same with there's an organization called Surf Life Saving Australia. That is, they are working on the beach, looking after challenge.
Recording in progress.
And can you continue in the fourth and fifth years? So this is, I believe that is the organizational sustainability which we have to worry about when we are talking about social enterprises and marketing. So I'll stop there and I'll listen to others as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the professor. And actually, we beg your pardon, we had experienced some power outage, and it is being corrected now. So thank you very much for your the valuable insight. Of course, you specifically stressed the criticality of marketing, whether it is the social enterprise or in other form of a business. Marketing is a very critical thing. And again, you briefly explain what is the social entrepreneurship and the evolution of social entrepreneurship, starting from the non-profit business to the today's the format of the social enterprises. Of course, we can further discuss this thing in our the next round. And thank you very much. And with that thing, I will move into the next panelist. Right, with our discussion, we discuss the importance of this social entrepreneurship, and even we discuss that is not really a new thing. And if we take this cooperative system, or the cooperative business is one of the form of social enterprises. And as a country, we had a very efficient and very prosperous cooperative system. And due to the number of reasons, the significance and prominence of this cooperative business has been faded away. By contrast, of course, the need for this the importance and the significance of the cooperative system, cooperative movement has been increased over the period of time. So that we would like to ask from Mr. Bulat Sinhala, how do you compare this the cooperative system and social entrepreneurship, and how we can combine this thing and how we can move forward with these the concepts? It is over to you, Mr. Bulat Sinhala.
Good morning. I would like to share my idea in Sinhala, ideas and experiences as a cooperative person.
Welcome, sir.
මම හිතන්නේ මේ සමාජ ව්‍යවසාය කියන එක අද යුගයේ මම කලින්ම මම කැමති මේ සමාජ සන්දර්භය ගැන ඒ කොන්ටෙක්ස්ට් එක ගැන වැඩිපුර මේ ඉස්සෙල්ලාම ටිකක් අදහසක් බෙදා ගන්න. ඒ මොකද සමාජ සන්දර්භය තුල තමයි අපිට මෙවැනි ව්‍යාපාරික අවශ්‍යතාවය වඩාත් මේ දැනෙන්න ගන්නේ. ඒ නිසා මේ සමාජ සන්දර්භය මේ වෙනකොට අපිට ඉතාම වැදගත් වෙනවා. මම මේ ෂෙයා කරනවා පේනවද දැන්? පේනවා. එතකොට මේ වර්තමාන සමාජ සන්දර්භය තුල අපිට ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම දකින්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා මේ ආදායම් විෂමතාවය, දිලුදු බව, ණය ගැති බව, මේ වෙළඳ ශේෂයේ හිගේ පතර විනාශය, අධික වක්‍ර බදු, සමාජ අසහනය වර්ධනය වීම, අපරාධ වර්ධනය වීම, සදාචාරයේ පිරීම, ගැටුම් පැවතීම්, අල්ලස් දූෂණ වංචා වැඩිවීම, සෞඛ්‍ය අධ්‍යාපන ප්‍රවාහන ක්ෂේත්‍රවල ගැටලු. ඉතින් මේ තත්ත්වයන් වර්ධනය වෙන්නම මේ පවතින සමාජ ආර්ථික දේශපාලන තත්ත්වයන් බලපාලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ලාභය මුල් කරගත්ත ඒ වෙනුවෙන්ම කටයුතු කරන ව්‍යාපාරත් එක්ක මේ තත්ත්වයන් තව වර්ධනය වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ පවතින ලිබරල් වාදයත් එක්ක මිනිස්සු පීඩාවට ලක්වීම නිසා අලුත් දෙයක් හොයන්න මිනිස්සුන්ට සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපි දකිනවා දැන් ඒ ධනවාදී සමාජයත් එක්ක ඊට පස්සේ සමාජවාදය ආව. ඒකත් අසාර්ථක තත්ත්වයක් එක්ක පැවතුන එනි අධිකාරීවාදයත් එක්ක එතනින් එහාට අපිට අලුත් දෙයක් හොයාගන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ තුල තමයි අපිට වැඩියෙන් හිතන්න උනේ මේ සමාජ ව්‍යවසායන් පිළිබඳව වැඩියෙන් හිතන්න සිද්ධ වුණේ. ඒ වැඩියෙන් හිතද්දී ඒ අතරේ ප්‍රධාන ව්‍යාපාරයක් හැටියට ඒ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය හඳුන්වා දෙන්න මම කැමතියි. ඇත්තටම මේ සමාජීන්ගේ ආර්ථික තත්ත්වය වැඩි දියුණු කිරීම, ඊළඟට ඒ ආර්ථික ප්‍රතිලාභය සමාජික අතර බෙදා හදා ගැනීම, ඒ වගේ ඒ මුලින්ම පටන් ගත්තේ සමුපකාර ප්‍රතිපත්ති අදටත් ඒ වළංගුව තියෙනවා සමාජ ව්‍යවසායයක් හැටියට. ඒතර අපි දකිනවා මේ දැන් සාමාන්‍ය ලාභ ලබන ව්‍යාපාරවල ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් මෙයාලා ඒ ප්‍රොෆිට් මොටිව් එකත් එක්ක එයාලා මේ කෙසේ හෝ ලාභ ලැබීම මාකටිං අලෙවිකරණය කියන එක දැන් අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට අලෙවිකරණය ගැන අපිට කියනවා ඉක්මීවරුන්ට ශීතකරණ විකිණීමට පවා ඒ දවස්වල අලෙවිකරණය අපිට ඉගැන්වුවේ එහෙමයි. නමුත් අපි දකිනවා ඊට වඩා මේකේ තියෙන සාරධර්ම පදනම් වෙච්ච අලෙවිකරණයක් අවශ්‍ය වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ සඳහා ඒ සමාජ ව්‍යවසායය තාම වැදගත් වෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒකෙදී සමුපකාරයේ තියෙන ප්‍රතිපත්ති දැන් ස්වේච්ඡා විවෘත සමාජිකත්වය, ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී සමාජික පාලනය, සමාජිකයින්ගේ ආර්ථික කටයුතු වල සහභාගීත්වය, ස්වාධීනත්වය හා ස්වෛරීත්වය, අධ්‍යාපන පුහුණුව හා තොරතුරු විකාශනය, සමුපකාර අතර සහයෝගය, ප්‍රජා පිළිබඳ සැලකීම. එතකොට අද සමාජයට වඩා අවශ්‍ය වෙච්ච ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්ති වටිනාකම් සමුදායක් ඒ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය තුලින් හඳුන්වා දෙනවා. එතකොට මේ තුල ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම මේ ප්‍රාග්ධනයට වඩා ශ්‍රමය උසස් කොට සලකන, ප්‍රජාව පදනම් කරගත්ත ඒ වගේ ව්‍යාපාරයක් හැටියට තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒතර ඒ ව්‍යාපාරය තුර අරමුදල් සම්පාදනය අර මහාචාර්යතුමා කලින් කිව්වා වගේ ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ අරමුදල් සම්පාදනය කරනවා ලාභ අපේක්ෂාවෙන්. ඒතර ඊට වඩා වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ යහපත් දෙයක් කිරීම සඳහා තමන්ගේ ශක්තියම එකතු කරගනිමින් ඒ කටයුතු කිරීම. ඒක වඩා ඵලදායී සහ පිරසර බවක් එනවා. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා ඒ ප්‍රජාව පදනම් කරගත්ත එයාලගේ ආර්ථික ශක්තිය මුල් කරගත්ත ශ්‍රමයට වඩා සැලකීමක් දක්වන ව්‍යාපාරයක් හැටියට ඒ සංඝාර ව්‍යාපාරය අපිට ඉතා වැදගත් වෙනවා. ඒතර ඒක පාලනය වෙන්නේ සමාජිකයන් විසින් පත් කරගන්න අධ්‍යක්ෂ මණ්ඩලයක් මගින්. ඒතර සමාජිකයෝ පහළ මට්ටමේ ඒ ග්‍රාමීය වෙන්න පුළුවන් දැන් විවිධාකාරයේ සමාජිකත්වය සාමාන්‍ය සමාජිකත්වය ඒ අය විසින් තමන්ව පාලනය කරන්න පත් කරගන්න ඒ අධ්‍යක්ෂ මණ්ඩල කලින් කාලට වෙනස් වෙනවා. තමන්ගේ මේ ඡන්ද වලින් ඒක වෙනස් කිරීමේ හැකියාවක් ඒ සමාජිකයින්ට තියෙනවා. අයිතිය සමාජිකයින්ගේ තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා සමාජ ව්‍යවසායයක් හැටියට ඉතාම වැදගත් වෙනවා ඒ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය. ඊළඟට දැන් විශේෂයෙන්ම අද සමාජය තුළ මිනිස්සුන්ව වැඩි වැඩියෙන් පරිභෝජනවාදයට යොමු කරන තත්ත්වයක් තුළ වඩා අවශ්‍ය වෙලා තියෙනවා මේ සරල පරිභෝජනවාදයෙන් මිදිච්ච සරල ජීවිත රටාවකට. සෞඛ්‍යයට හිතකර ජීවිත රටාවකට. හිතකර ආහාර පාන ඇඳුම් පැළඳුම් වලට. ඒ වගේ තත්ත්වයකට යෑම ඉතා අවශ්‍ය වෙලා තියෙනවා පුද්ගලයන්ගේ සහ සමාජයේ දෙකේම පැවැත්ම සඳහා. දැන් අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අලෙවිකරණයේ බොහෝ විට දකින්නේ මේ අධි පරිභෝජනීය දිරිගැන්වීම. නමුත් ඊට වඩා අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ මිනිසුන්ට හිතකර පරිභෝජනීය දිරිගැන්වීම. ඉතින් ඒ සඳහා ඉතා වැදගත් වෙනවා සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය. මොකද ඒකේ ප්‍රජාව පදනම් කරගත්ත නිසා දැන් අර කලින්ම අදහස් දැක්වීමේදී කියවුණා මාකටිං කියන්නේ මේ කස්ටමර් හඳුනා ගැනීම කියන එක. හරියට හඳුනා ගැනීම. දැන් අද වෙන්නේ හරියට හඳුනාගත්තාම ඒ ලාභ ලබන ව්‍යාපාර ලාභ අපේක්ෂා කරන ව්‍යාපාර බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන හඳුනාගෙන ඒ පාරිභෝගිකයන් කියන දුර්වලතන් එහෙම පාවිච්චි කරමින් ඒ කොහොමද අපි තමන්ගේ ව්‍යාපාරයේ ලාභ වැඩි කරගන්නේ කියලා. දැන් සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය නැත්නම් සමාජ ව්‍යවස්ථායකත්වයේදී බලන්නේ ඔහුගේ හැබෑ අවශ්‍යතාවයන් සහ ඔහුගේ දිවිය වඩා සාර්ථක කර ගැනීමට උදව් වෙන අවශ්‍යතාවයන් සම්පූර්ණ කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා. එතකොට මම ඒ කොටස මෙතනින් නවත්තනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම වැදගත් වෙනවා අද සමාජයේට කොහොමද මේ තියෙන වැදගත්කම. මොකද දැන් අර මේ පවතින සමාජයේ තියෙන මේ විෂමතා නිසාම වැඩි වැඩියෙන් මිනිස්සු හොයනවා අලුත් දෙයකට යන්න ඕනයි කියලා. එතකොට අලුත් දෙයකට යන්න ඒ සිවිල්ල තුලම අපිට අවස්ථාවක් ඔපචුනිටි එකක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා අලුත් මේ සමාජ ව්‍යවසායන්ට යොමු වෙන්න. ඉතින් ඒ අතරින් මම දකිනවා ඊටාම වැදගත් ව්‍යාපාරයක් හැටියට සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය. එතකොට ඉදිරියේදී අපිට සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය ගැන තව ටිකක් වැඩිපුර කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. කොහොම ස්තුතියි.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි බුලත්සිංහ මහත්මයා. ඔබතුමාගේ අදහස් දැක්වීමේදී ඉතාම අර්ථාන්විතව අපිට අදහස් දැක්වීමක් කරා වර්තමාන සමාජ සන්දර්භය කොහොමද මේ පවතින්නේ ඒ පිළිබඳ විශ්ලේෂණයක් කළා. ඒ හරහා මේ සමාජ ව්‍යවසායකත්වය එහෙම නැත්නම් සම්පකාර ව්‍යාපාරය සඳහා තියෙන අවශ්‍යතාවය ඒකම සම්පකාර ප්‍රතිපත්තීන් හතක් හඳුන්වා දීලා ඔබතුමා ඉතා වැදගත් දෙයක් කිව්වා. සම්පකාර ව්‍යවසායක අභිප්‍රාය වෙනත් ව්‍යවසායකයන්ට වඩා ගැඹුරු හා පුළුල් වේ. මම හිතන්නේ මේ වාක්‍යය තුල අපි මේ කතා කරපු ගොඩක් දේ ගැබ් වෙලා තියෙනවා. අපි ඉදිරියටත් මේ පිළිබඳව අපිට සාකච්ඡා කරන්න අවස්ථාව තියෙනවා. Next I'll move into our next panelist, Mr. Lasantha Wickramasinghe. Actually, we know that the social, cultural and economic and political factors are definitely going to affect on this promoting this type of the concept. For instance, the social entrepreneurship and so on. So that we would like to know from Mr. Wickramasinghe basically to how these the new marketing trends going to affect on social entrepreneurship or to facilitate social enterprises. For instance, people now talk about green business, the green product, fair business, ethical marketing, ethical business. How we can link or how we can relate those things to social enterprises and how these trends going to affect on social enterprises. It is over to you, Mr. Lasantha Wickramasinghe.
Thank you very much. First of all, I should thank the university for inviting me as a panelist to this very important discussion. If I'm coming back to your question, how the new marketing trends will help social entrepreneurship, I think if we are trying to look at the most recent trends, I would see the most important trend that we are facing right now is the use of social media. I mean, there are lots of concepts, but when it comes to social entrepreneurship, so because the main challenge the social entrepreneurship might have, maybe you may not have a competitor at the beginning, because in most of the cases, because you would see a problem or issue in the society, and then you try to uh, address that issue with your new idea, your own idea, in most of the cases when it comes to social entrepreneurship. Because in that case, you don't have anybody to copy. You can copy some parts, you can copy some concepts, but you may not have a direct competitor to copy. So then you need to make sure people are aware of what you are doing. So what you are going to initiate. Uh, let's say that if you are trying to just copying another competitor and you are trying to come up with a similar service or product, then you can easily understand what you should do, because there are examples that you can follow. But when it comes to social entrepreneurship, in most of the times, you may have to think your own way. You have to find out how you are going to communicate what you are going to do, and how you are going to solve the problems in the society. So in that case, the advantage that the social entrepreneurs gets in nowadays is the social media, I guess. Because in social media, the owners are basically uh, maybe consumers or people or general public. So whenever they see a good thing, they would like to uh, convey that message to other people as well, maybe their friends. And also in social media, you can easily identify your target market as well, because it is possible to find out groups which may be created for similar interests, and maybe you can even use some promoting tools, spending few amount of money, targeting the right segments. And therefore, I think when it comes to social entrepreneurship and the current marketing trends, the availability and the rise of social media, and becoming every person a kind of a journalist nowadays, due to that can be converted to your advantage if you are having a good solution. And also, since I mean, maybe that we have to concentrate on another thing, that social entrepreneur can be a corporate, or maybe a cooperative society, or maybe an individual, and also maybe an industry industrial corporation who are making profits with other concepts. Maybe just focus on shareholder satisfaction, and then maybe that they need to shift from their philosophical strategic way to maybe from purely profit oriented focus to social entrepreneurship orientation. However, the most important thing that we need to understand is that anyone can be a social entrepreneur from the time he decides that he should do so. And I would like to bring one of the interesting example within our company, the Milko. And it's a bit different, because here we are facing kind of a challenge. I mean, if I get a few minutes to explain that situation, the situation that we are currently facing. So we had a department called Dairy Development Department that has been there for maybe 20 years. And the main focus of them were basically on farmer training, and also farmer welfare, and also collective milks. They are distributed in island-wide. We have about 250 employees employed for that purpose. And they have been doing farmer training for years. And the main focus is basically on the collection of milk, but also they are focusing on farmer welfare and farmer training. But if you try to critically look at what we have been doing for years, and each year we have been doing farmer training, and we have been doing farmer welfare. But if we have been doing well that for maybe 20, 30, 20 or 25 years, so results would have been different. But the farmer should be very much educated, or they should do exactly what they should do if you look at the amount of trainings that we have carried out. But it is not the case now. So then we have to critically look at why that we have not achieved the expected results, looking at the amount of effort that we have put into. And I think then we need to understand what is lacking. So in milking, in the dairy industry, the current problems in Sri Lanka are basically feeding, breeding, and best practices. We can bring best practices easily if we have the right inputs for feeding and breeding. Feeding is basically with fodder and pasture, which is widely available in a country like Sri Lanka, but still you believe that that is the main problem in Sri Lanka. We don't provide enough nutrition to our cows. So that is why it is hard for them to provide enough harvest, or the yield is less. And that is why breeding is difficult. If you don't have the right nutrition level, breeding is difficult. And you need to make sure the cow is feed well, first of all. So then how do we going to address this? So we have been doing this in very small scale as providing services. And the concept was providing services, free services kind of, to farmers. But whenever the company is facing financial issues, some of the major challenges, so what it is going to cut off is these free services. When you are doing something free of charge as a service to the society, and whenever your company or you are facing some financial challenges, when there is a cost pressure, the first things that you would do is you would cut down those services. I mean, you have to do that. But where is the solution? Solution is in social entrepreneurship. We have to take that as a business opportunity. So what we do is we are creating a new strategic business unit. We convert the same department to SBU, strategic business unit, which see those problems as opportunities, and we do business selling fodder to farmers. So it would be a new business unit to Milko that we are selling pasture to farmer at a very reasonable profit. I mean, if we try to do it as a service, we will never go to the scale that we need to go, because we need to make the environment, the entire situation change by improving the nutrition level of the cows. So you can understand the scale that we need to interfere or influence into this problem. So if you are trying to provide this as a service, and we will do it in very, very little scale, and maybe we can put some newspaper articles on that what we are doing, but we will not really make a difference. So if you really need to make a difference, it has to be sustainable. For the purpose of to be sustainable, we have to make a profit out of that. So otherwise, definitely, whenever the company is facing a kind of a cost pressure, those services may be cut off. But if you are doing this at a profit, so whenever the company is facing financial problems, the motivation would be to further increase these activities and make more money on that, while feeding the cows and providing what is required for the farmers to their doorsteps. So what we are doing is we are providing pasture to the doorsteps of the farmers, and we are creating a new industry. So we are purchasing pasture, and we have already started the pilot project, and we are launching that in a rigorous level in this year, and we are selling it back to the farmer after a bit of processing. So that is the business we are doing. So we consider this as a social entrepreneurship, and in this case, we are not moving from ultimate profit focused business unit to social entrepreneurship. We are moving from the other side. We were actually just giving some free services, but in a very little scale. We cannot scale up it as a free service. So that is where social entrepreneur is required. We have to see it as a business and we have to make money out of it. And also farmers have to make money out of that. And they will increase their milk harvest. From the same cow, they will milk more milk. So that is what is required. So by doing that, the company will receive more milk from the same farmers and the same cows. And by doing that, the consumers will get more products which they love. So that is how we are going to use social entrepreneurship. And when it comes to marketing, and this concept itself can be marketed very easily once it is grown up to a stage that it can be marketed. And so we can create this as a success story, and we can build our corporate image, and we can increase our customer loyalty by, I mean, this message itself will encourage them to took our products out of the shelf when you visit the supermarket. Because when we say this story, and also when we do such a thing, we don't have to spend that much of money on marketing. Because what we have to say is we have a story to tell. Whenever you have a story, there are means and ways that you can find out how to get that story to the people without spending that much money on advertising. Because if the story is nice, people would like to listen. So if the people are ready to listen, you don't have to shout. You just make sure that the story is available and the space is there in media free of charge. That's a secret. So in social entrepreneurship, if you're doing something nice, if you are providing a solution to an existing problem, you can find out ways of marketing that thing free of charge. Because even for the media, that would be a nice story. So thank you very much. We will discuss more in the next round.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Vikram, for your valuable thought. In your the talk, you stressed the importance of the social media. As we know now, the social media has become the third eye of the society, and we can't do anything behind the social media. And you highlighted the significance and importance of social media to be capitalized in promoting the social entrepreneurship. And again, you brought a very practical example, very nice example about this dairy industry, and there you nicely explained. And there we heard that you have already in the process, and you are already practicing the social entrepreneurship, and even you have made some of the progress through this social entrepreneurship. So that thank you very much for sharing your experience. And again, you highlighted that doing business more than the profit, so that we can discuss this thing in the further. And with this thing, we are going to conclude the first round of discussion, and we can move into the short round of discussion. For instance, kind of a wrap up the session, and thereafter we can go for the question and answering session. And since we are running out of time, we got another 1 hour time, so that is Dr. Ambuldeni is there.
I'm here, I'm listening. I can go on for about another 5 minutes. Yes, okay.
Okay, sir, we are grateful to you. If you could give some insight about how we can transform the existing, the traditional or the conventional organization into a social enterprises. Is there a possibility, or do we need to do that? Transforming the existing or traditional, conventional business into social enterprises?
Actually, thank you very much for that question. Lasanta mentioned some very important points, and also from the cooperative movement, some very important points came. Actually, if you remember what not to do, right, I think that will be a very good point, rather than asking the wrong question. Like, the wrong question is whether we should convert into social enterprises or to become good business organization. A good business organization will always try to maximize profit. A social enterprise will even try to run at a loss, but there is no possibility any time for any business to run without making a profit. So you really need to make sure that you make a sustainable profit so that you can reinvest that money in the organization to keep running. Sri Lanka is in trouble because all the government organizations think that they are running social enterprises, whereas the private sector is not showing their profit, not paying taxes in most cases, that they are not meeting their social responsibility. So I am telling you very frankly that we need to make profit, pay your taxes, which is your social responsibility, and then don't treat social enterprises as a social now. Sometimes you think that social enterprises have everything like charity. There is no charity in a social enterprise. It's the movement of people for the people. So when you really discount your future cash flows, there is a point where the discount rate becomes zero, where the NPV is becoming zero. That DCF must be captured, right? And anything above that is what all the social enterprises should strive to achieve. We should not allow any company, any business in Sri Lanka to run at a loss. That means the people are paying for sustaining that business. I mean, I can give many, many examples in this country that the story is very nice, but at the end, the people are paying for the story, right? So you have to have a story that is social enterprise, because the story is what differentiates your business, social enterprise from the rest. But story itself is not the food, not the money, because we need to create wealth. I mean, if I can make that, universities really focus on your theory and then really tell the people, right, you have to work about this DCF level, then you are serving this country in a better way. And of course, I want to encourage not the other enterprises, that is not the social enterprise, profit-making ones, to do better. When the opportunity is there now, during the pandemic time, you can imagine how many companies really made billions, and those companies have increased in the numbers in the world now. They have virtually taken over 50% of the wealth in this world, the GDP in the world, actually during this pandemic time, of only a very few companies. So we really need to think how we can create wealth, whether it is by social enterprise or without social enterprise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable insights. And we are really grateful to have you. I think since you have to leave
thank
early,
you very much. Yes,
I take this opportunity to once again to thank you very much and pay our gratitude for attending this the forum, and and we'll meet in the future in this type of interaction. Thank you very much, sir. Right, okay, with that, we are moving to another the panelists. I would like to go to Professor Veeravardhana. And actually, as the country, particularly the social entrepreneurship is kind of a new concept to Sri Lanka, and it's in a sort of a infancy stage. We have to go forward and we have to develop over the period of time. So that I would like to ask from Professor Veeravardhana what strategies needed to be promoted if we are to promote the social entrepreneurship as a country. What we have to do, what strategies we have to promote to support or to prosper these social enterprises in Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Dr. Mahindrath. Maybe I must start by reflecting on what Lasantha, Mr. Vikramasinghe said, explained his experience. Now, and what we can see is Milco is a private company and they are working for profit. But at the same time, they have undertaken a social entrepreneurial project. that is creating social value. Now, this is one model. That means there are, we had non-profits. Now we have non-profit social enterprises, and also we have for-profit social ventures. And now we can see that the private companies, they had the corporate social responsibility before. Now they are moving into social entrepreneurial projects where they can create greater value to their whatever the clientele they are serving. Now that's an interesting example, and that is very practical example. Now, the request from Dr. Mahindaratna was to for me to elaborate on strategies. Now, as we are talking about marketing, now let me very quickly talk about a few things in marketing. And if you're going to talk about marketing strategies, it will take a few hours, And basically, there are 4 marketing tools. If you are marketing a product, for example, you must have a good product, an innovative product that will create value. Remember the word value. People are buying value. The second one is you must have a proper distribution method, and also you must have a pricing method, pricing scheme, and also you must have a proper marketing communication. Now, Mr. Vikramasinghe talked about social media. I will come to that in a minute. Very important point about marketing communication. So because of the time limit, let me talk only about the product and also about marketing communication. When you talk about product, and also when you talk about marketing, it is about target marketing. I think that point was made by Dr. Imbul Denia at the very beginning. That means today's marketing is about target marketing. That means you are identifying a clearly defined target segment, and then you are focusing all your marketing efforts to look after that market segment. Let me take a quick example. Remember, many years ago, in 1980s, we had Henry Ford, the American company that made the first motor car. And Henry Ford proudly said, I can provide whatever the car you want so long as the car is black and it's a T Ford. That is the only car he had at that time. And people were looking for, people didn't know about the cars. So he went for mass marketing, trying to capture the entire world, everyone who wants to drive a car. So this worked for some time, and then came, then there's a chap called David Sloan. He's the one who founded the General Motors in America. Still they are dominating. Now he saw that people need different types of products. People need, families require family cars, and younger people want sports cars. Maybe some people want transportation, and people need different colors. So he started targeting into different segments. He defining segments and targeting. Now today's marketing is about selecting a particular target market and also serving them. So we are not wasting our money in a mass marketing campaign. For example, assume that you want to sell something in the candy area. You're not going to have a national advertising campaign. You're not going to have advertisement in the national newspapers, or you are not going to have an advertisement in the national TV. No one will do that. Instead, you will find a way to reach the people in candy area. We call it more focused marketing campaign. Now, all these are applicable to social entrepreneurs. Now, here we are talking about the product or the service you are marketing. and it has to be focused onto a particular group. Now, I earlier mentioned about who's your customer. A real customer in a nonprofit or a social enterprise is the person who is picking up the bill. It may be a donor, or maybe a philanthropist, or maybe a volunteer who is willing to donate their time for the organization. Now, so when you think of that, now we have to create value. Now, what do you mean by value? That means when I am buying a product, I am buying a bundle of services or bundle of value. Now, for example, when I buy an Apple telephone or a mobile phone or a Samsung mobile phone, and today we are buying a lot of services. With that you can, today it is a camera, you can communicate, you can download, you can access the internet, and you can text people, and you can take pictures. You can do many things with a mobile phone these days. So therefore, people are arguing that mobile phone is not a physical product anymore. It's a value constellation. It's a bundle of services you are buying when you are buying a mobile phone. The same theory apply. Now we have a new situation where you are creating value in a different way. The second one is that you can create value using your social media platform. Now we can see the Facebook. What are they doing? The Facebook, Zuckerberg, this American guy and his friends created a social media platform where what you are doing is you have a Facebook account and you are opening that Facebook platform and you are creating value for you. That means you are getting involved in social interaction. You upload a story, you upload a photograph, and people are making comments about it, and you are happy, and you are publicizing your birthday, and you are uploading your political messages, and there are debates about it, and people are going to a lot of extents, and whatever it is, this is an interesting story where the marketing guy, the company has created a platform where you are co-creating value. That means you are creating value with the Facebook platform, and at the end you are very happy that now you have socialized with others. Now this is a new scenario about value, and the second aspect is communicating. So how are you communicating your message in a very clear way, and what sort of messages you need to have in your marketing campaign in a social enterprise context? Let me quickly share with you a slide that will help us to understand this. See the slide? Hello?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. So here in this slide, what I am saying is, I will look at from the angle of what are the revenue streams for a social enterprise, and what are the different ways of collecting income for you to start a social enterprise and also continue. And there are many things you can see, and if you look at the Indian situation, the British Council Indian report, or the British Council, the Sri Lanka report, or there are many studies they are talking about. You will make money from different sources. It can be a government seed funding, that means initial funding. You got someone, either maybe from a government or maybe a private organization, and that enable you to keep you going. Or maybe you can apply for a government grant, or maybe philanthropy-based impact investors. For example, Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation, they are providing billions and billions of money, and you can apply for a particular project. For example, they are providing money to educate people in Pakistan, rural Pakistan, why a toilet is important and how can you make a toilet. There are philanthropy-based investors like that, and there are business plan competition. And for example, in India, you have this Tata Management Company, and they are running business plan competitions, and they are awarding non-profits and social enterprise organizations money to start an enterprise. And you are selling direct to individuals. I have a story here. I will skip that. Then there's crowdfunding. That is, on the internet, you are promoting your social cause, and then people are donating in small quantities. But some social enterprises are making millions and millions, because the whole world will help you if your social cause is appealing to them. Or you can undertake selling direct to an organization. You can sell products to an organization, or it can be a public or private sector contract and tender. Now, this is a very popular one, where I have seen in Australia, there's one organization, Social Ventures Australia. What they are doing is they are undertaking computer repairs. They have a workshop, and they are employing disabled people and the socially disadvantaged. They are undertaking contracts to private sector organizations, to Commonwealth Bank in Australia. And I remember when I was in Sri Lanka, I worked in the private sector. I was the HR manager at Colombo Commercial Engineers. Now that company is dead and gone, but when it was in heydays, it was a very powerful company. And just opposite Berry Lake, the whole area was owned by the Colombo Commercial Engineers Limited. Now, the story I'm going to tell is that now we had about 1,500 workers in the factory. And they were given uniforms every 2 years. For that, what we did was we supported the Cancer Society in Kadawatha, or Dalugama, I think. And so we gave the contract to them, and they had volunteer laborers. They had paid staff as well, and we were employing a lot of people through that. And so it was a private sector company giving a contract to a social enterprise. Or if you have leasing, that means if you have a building, you can lease it to make money. Now, the Catholic Church have a lot of properties, and they are making money from that sort of leasing. And also you can go for a sponsorship. And many companies will support you if your cause is appealing to them. That's where your social media campaign can be very important. Now, the point I'm making here is that there are two things I want to say here. That is, you must seek funding from different sources. And at the same time, when you approach these funding sources, your message can be different. This is where your marketing communication is important. For example, you must have seen World Vision Australia, and many agencies, they're asking for money to help people in a country like Bangladesh, or a farmer in Africa, or maybe a poor family in Africa, and they don't have running water and they don't have housing. And for that, what they are doing is they have one thing called interesting marketing campaign called, I'm talking about marketing communication here. That is, there's a thing called content marketing. That is, you're going for storytelling. People would like to hear nice stories, good things about that I have donated money and my money will help someone in a very poor region, and the nonprofit can look after these people. And so here, what you can do is you can use your social media platform for storytelling. That is, with your money, we were able to provide water to a very remote, village in central province in Sri Lanka. And this reminds me the well-known social enterprise project in Rathote, Vanaranya, where some women started a water supply project. That area, always there's a prolonged droughts, and the women decided to take things into their hand, and they had a waterfall around 6 kilometers away, and they decided to have a pipeline from that waterfall to the village. With a lot of problems, people didn't like that. So you can promote a story like that. Now, in fact, they were able to attract funding from other agencies by telling that story. And the second, so what I'm saying is, all these audiences will require a different or a slightly modified marketing message. And for example, if you're looking for a business plan competition, it is to show that your social cause is a very viable one, very feasible one, and it will make a social impact. And also you have to show the projected income statements, cash flow statements, and what sort of assets you are having, what sort of money you are already having, and that can be a different marketing message. If you are approaching a philanthropy-based impact investor, your marketing message can be another different one. So the point I'm making is that the same marketing message may not suit to different audiences. Now, this is the basic idea of target marketing. For example, now this is selling direct to individuals. Now, let me show you this slide. Now, this is a project called Bread and Butter, and which is in Australia. I believe you can see the website. Dr. Mahindaratne, can you see the slide?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay, fantastic. Now, this is an interesting project. It is known as Bread and Butter, where what they are proud of is they are providing what you call artisan type bakery items. Now, these are, there's normal bread, and these are the one they are like, shorty type breads, And in a country like Australia or Western country, there are different choices. Now, like you are having rolls and madupang and all that. Here we are providing the people who want to have a crusty, crunchy bread. There can be Italian version, there can be a Greek type version. And these are the bread types which you are not going to keep for a couple of days, and you buy it and enjoy. Now, what they are doing is they started this project to look after the refugees. And one family, their names are given here. Paul Allen and his wife Jessica Ginberg. What they were doing was they had a bakery and they had expertise, but they worked as volunteers in Thai-Burma border, where there were Burmese refugees were coming. Remember Rohingyas story? And they started a bakery to provide skills to the refugees. So they thought of continuing that in Australia. And here you are selling these type of breads to real consumer market. But in doing so, you are helping refugees from different countries, from Bangladesh, India, and Sri Lanka as well. So the point I'm making is two things in marketing, that is, whatever the format of the social enterprise, you have to create value to your target market, whoever they are. Now, in the case of Milko, what they are doing is they are focusing on farmers. They are supporting, they are providing enhanced value, but at the same time, they are making some profit, and they have a social purpose there. The second thing is about marketing communication and how can you design your marketing message. These days, if you are starting a social enterprise, as Mr. Vikramasinghe said, you must have a proper platform, web-based website where you can, you must be able to demonstrate that you can communicate with your target market, and also the donors should be able to tell stories where they can see that you are making an impact, so that they'll be convinced, and they can lend you some money. I think I spoke too much, I think, so forgive me for that. With that, let me stop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your interesting and very informative presentation. And there you highlighted the importance of formulating a very strong marketing message for social entrepreneurship. And again, you very in detail you explained the revenue streams, different revenue streams for social enterprises. It's one very vital aspects to promote social enterprises. So thank you very much, sir. With that, we'll move to the next speaker, Mr. Bulat Sinhala. Mr. Bulat Sinhala, අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා කරපු සාකච්ඡාවේදී ඔබතුමා ගෙනහැර දැක්වා මේ සම්පකාර ව්‍යාපාරයේ තියෙන වැදගත්කම සම එහි තියෙන අවශ්‍යතාවය දැන් කාලීන අවශ්‍යතාවය අපි මෙතින් තව දුරටත් දැනගන්න කැමතියි. දැන් තරඟකාලී වෙළඳපොළ ආර්ථිකයේ තුල සමෝපකාරී ව්‍යාපාර ඉදිරියට ගෙන යාම සඳහා පවතින බාධාවන් නැත්නම් අපි කිව්වොත් එහෙම අභියෝග මොනවද කියලා ඔබතුමාට අපිට අදහස් දැක්වීමක් කරන්න ආරාධනා කරනවා.
මම ඉතිසලා මට තිබුණා නම් වෙලාව හොඳයි මේ ඒ කියන්නේ මේ වෙනකොට අපිට අත්දැකීමක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා මේ වෙලාව මැද නම් අපි කතා කරමු මේ ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ලාභ ලැබමින් ඒ සමාජ කාර්යභාරය කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. දැන් අපේ කෙහෙල්ලැල්ල විවිධ සේවා සමුපකාර සමිතිය අපි ඊටම ලාභදායී විදියට පවත්වා ගනිමින් මේ විශාල සමාජ කාර්යභාරයක් කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් අවසාන වශයෙන් එහෙමනම් අපි අර මාතෘකාවට යන් අවසානයේ තියෙන අභියෝග හැටියට දැන් අභියෝග හැටියට ප්‍රධානවම තියෙනවා මේ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරයට අර සමාජිකයන්ගේ සමුපකාරයේ වෙනුවට රාජ්‍ය මැදිහත් වීම මේ වැඩිවීම සමහර විට ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක 1970 දශකයේදී විශේෂයෙන්ම වුණා මුල් කාලෙදී. එතකොට ඒක බලපාලා තියෙනවා සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය ස්වාධීනව ගොඩනැගෙන්න තියෙන අපහසුකමක් ඇති කරන්න. මේ දැන් මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වේ ඇත්තටම මේ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරයට පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා ස්වාධීනව ගොඩනැගෙන්න සමාජ ව්‍යවසායක් හැටියට ලාභදායීව සහ ඒ සමාජ කාර්යභාරයක් කරමින්. ඒතර ඒ කරන්න තියෙන ඉඩකඩට ඒ පොටෙන්ෂල් එකට ඉඩකඩ සැලසීම තමයි කෙරෙන්න ඕන සමාජයකින්. ඒතර ඒකට බාධා කිරීම නැවැත්තුවොත් ඒක ඉබේ සිද්ධ කරගන්න පුළුවන්කමක් තියෙන මිනිස්සුන්ට. එතකොට දැන් මේ රාජ්‍ය කේන්ද්‍රීය සමුපකාරය සහ ප්‍රතිපත්ති සාරධර්ම අනුව කටයුතු කරන දැන් ඒතර සමුපකාරයේ බිස්නස් එකක් තියෙනවා මූවමන්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒතකොට අද සමුපකාර බොහෝ විට මේ බිස්නස් එක ගැන හිතනවා මූවමන්ට් එක ගැන හිතන ක්‍රමයේ අඩුවක් තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරයට වැඩි අවධානයක් යොමු කිරීම අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා. ඒ සමුපකාර මූවමන්ට් කියන පැත්තට. මොකද ඒකේ තුල ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්ති මේ ඒ සාරධර්ම ඒවත් එක්ක ඒ ව්‍යාපාරය ගොඩ නැගෙන්න ඕනයි කියන එක. එතකොට ඒකට එක බාධාවක් හේතුන මේ පුළුල් ලෙස හවුල් කර නොගැනීම. දැනට තියෙන සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාර තුල සමාජිකින්ට තියෙන අවස්ථා. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් කාරක සභාවෙන් මහ සභාවට දාලා අධ්‍යක්ෂ මණ්ඩලයට දැම්මට පස්සේ අධ්‍යක්ෂ මණ්ඩලයයි අර සාමාන්‍ය සමාජිකයෝ අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධතාවය බොහෝ විට අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. දැන් අපේ කෙහෙල්ලල්ලට අපිට පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙනවා අර නිරන්තරයේ සමාජිකත්වයට එක්ක සම්බන්ධතාව පවත්වාගෙන යන ව්‍යුහයන් හදාගන්න. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා ඒක අපේ සාර්ථකත්වයට ප්‍රධාන හේතුවක් වෙලා තිබුණා. ඒ නිසා අපිට පුළුවන් වුණා මේ බස්නාහිර පළාතේ පළවෙනි ස්ථානයට පැමිණෙන්න. මම මේ කියන්නේ අපේ අර ලුකුකම්කට වඩා ඒ අර මේ මාකටිං ඒ ව්‍යුහය සකස් කර ගැනීමේ තියෙන වැදගත්කම පිළිබඳව එහෙම ඒ සමාජික දැන් අපේ වටිනාම සම්පත හැටියට අපි දකිනවා අර ෂෙයා හෝල්ඩර්ස්ලා වෙනකොට ස්ටේක් හෝල්ඩර්ස් කියලා අදහසක් ඉස්සලා කියලා තිබුණා. ඉතින් ඒ ස්ටේක් හෝල්ඩර්ස්ලා හදාගන්න එක. අතට අපේ සමාජිකයොත් එක්ක අපි කටයුතු කරන එක. ඉතින් ඒක හරිම වටිනකමක් තියෙනවා. අපිට එහෙම යොමු කරගන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් පවතින සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරේ ඒකේ බොහොම අඩුවක් දකිනවා. ඊළඟට සමුපකාරයට අද වෙනකොට තියෙන ප්‍රධාන ගැටලුවක් වෙලා තියෙනවා මේ සමගාමී ලයිස්තුවේ විෂයක් හැටියට පළාත් සභා සහ මධ්‍යම රාජ්‍ය අතරේ මේ 13 වෙනි ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයෙන් ගෙන ආපු මේ සමගාමී ලයිස්තුව. මොකද දෙගොල්ලම හරියට වැඩක් කරන්නේ නැහැ ඒ නිසා සමුපකාරයත් එක්ක එහෙම ගැටලුවකුත් මතුවලා තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට විශාලම බලපෑමක් තියෙනවා මේ දූෂණය හා දේශපාලන මැදිහත් වීම. ඒ කියන්නේ සමහර සමුපකාරවල මම මේ විශේෂයෙන් කතා කරන්නේ විවිධ සේවා සමුපකාර කියන එක. ඒ විවිධ සේවා සමුපකාර සමිතිවල මහ සභා තෝරා ගැනීම මිලවරණ පැවැත්වීම වගේ දේවල් විශාල දේශපාලන මැදිහත් වීම තියෙනවා. හැබැයි වාසනාවකට අපිට කෙහෙල්ලල්ලට ඉතිහාසයේ පුරාම එහෙම විශාල දේශපාලන මැදිහත් වීම තිබුණේ නැහැ. අපි මේ නිර්දේශපාලනික වශයෙන් නිර්පක්ෂ දේශපාලන වශයෙන් අපිට නිදහසේ කටයුතු කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට මේ පත් වෙන පුද්ගලයෝ අවංකව කටයුතු කළොත් ඇත්තටම සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය ගොඩනගා ගන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා. ඒ විභාගයේ හොඳටම ඒ පොටෙන්ෂල් එක හොඳටම තියෙනවා. නමුත් හුඟක් වෙලාවට දකින්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ ඒ දූෂණය, ඒ වංචා, ඒ වගේ දේවල් එක්ක ඒ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය විනාශ වීම. ඉතින් සමුපකාර සාර්ථක වෙච්ච හැම තැනකම ඒ දූෂණය අවම කිරීම උදව් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට දැන් විවිධ සේවා සමුපකාර සමිති ව්‍යුහයෙන් පිට මේ ජනතා අවශ්‍යතාව අනුව සමුපකාර තව තවත් පිහිටවීම. මම කියන්නේ දැන් මෙතන අපි මේ සහභාගී වෙන ශිෂ්‍යයින්ටත් වෙනත් අයටත් ඒක හුඟක් වැදගත් වෙයි. අපිට විවිධ ක්ෂේත්‍රවල අවශ්‍ය සමුපකාර පිහිටුවා ගැනීමේ හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. දැන් මේ වෙනකොට එහෙම පිහිටුවාගත්ත කණ්ඩායම් ඉන්නවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඉතිරි කිරීම සහ ණයදීම් වලට අදාළව ඔය ග්‍රාමීය ණයගැති භාවයෙන් මිනිස්සු මුදවා ගැනීම සඳහා එහෙම ගොඩනගාගත්ත කණ්ඩායම් ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒ අර විවිධ දැන් හුඟක් වෙලාට රජයේ අවධානය වැඩි වශයෙන් තියෙන්නේ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ මේ විවිධ සේවා සමුපකාර සමිති කියන එකට. ඒ විවිධෙන් පිට එහෙම ගොඩනගා ගැනීමට මේ අවධානය යොමු යුතු තිබෙනවා. දැනට ඒකේ සීමාවල් තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට මේ ජාත්‍යන්තර සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය ඊටාම ප්‍රගතිශීලී ගමනක් යනවා. හැබැයි මේ ප්‍රගතිශීලී ගමන එක්ක අපේ රටේ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරයේ බද්ධ වීමේ අඩුවක් තියෙනවා. ඊළඟ එක තමයි මේ වත්මන්ලොව තරංකාරීත්වයට මුහුණ දීම. මේ ඉතාම තරංකාරී ව්‍යාපාරික ලෝකයක් තියෙන්නේ. දැන් අපේ අත්දැකීම තමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් පරණ තාලේ තිබුණ කඩයක් අපේ එක කඩයක් තිබුණා. මේ ඒ කඩේ ලක්ෂ 3ක විතර වෙළඳාමක් තිබුණා. කඩේ මාසික වෙළඳාම කඩේ අලුත් කරලා අලුතෙන් මේ පෙනුම වෙනස් කරලා ඒ බඩුම සමහර විට තියෙන ඒ භාණ්ඩම විකුණන්න තියෙන්නේ. එකපාරටම ලක්ෂ 10කට ගියා ඊළඟ මාසේ වෙළඳාම. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ස්වභාවය ඒ පෙනීම ඒව හරියට බලපාලා තියෙනවා මේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඒ මානසිකත්වයට. මොකද දැන් සුපර් මාකට් ටයිප් එකට එන නිසා. ඒ නිසා ඒ වගේ ඒ සුපර් මාකට් ආකාරයට අපිට යන්න වෙයි. ඒකට අපේ ඒ සාර්ථකත්වයේ ප්‍රතිලාභ මහජනතාවට ගමන් කරන ආකාරයට. ඊළඟට දැන් අද වෙනකොට විවිධ සේවා සමුපකාරයේ ඒ මහජනතාවට ලබා දෙන ප්‍රතිලාභ ඉතා අඩු වෙලා තියෙන නිසා ඊළඟට සේවකින්ට ලබා දෙන ප්‍රතිලාභ එහෙම අඩුවීම නිසා ඒ අය අතරේ තියෙන සම්බන්ධතාවයේ අඩුවක් තියෙනවා. ඒතර අපේ සාර්ථකත්වයට ඒක හේතුවක් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ දැන් අපි දකිනවා සේවකයෝ තමයි වටිනම සම්පත මේක. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා සේවකයන්ගේ සේවක තෘප්තිය ඉතාම වටිනවා. ඉතින් ඒ සඳහා දැන් සමුපකාර සේවක කොමිෂන් සභාවේ තියෙන වැඩුත්තල එහෙම ඉතාම පහළ මට්ටමක තමයි තවමත් තියෙන්නේ. ඒතර ඒවා ප්‍රමාණවත් ආකාරයෙන් මේ වැඩි විය යුතුයි. දැන් ඒ වැටුප් තීරණය කිරීම කරන්නේ බොහෝ සමුපකාර සේවක කොමිෂන් සභාව. ඒතර ඒවා තව වැඩි විය යුතුයි. මොකද දක්ෂ පුද්ගලයෝ මේකට ආකර්ෂණය කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ ඒ හරහා. ඊළඟට ඉන්න සේවක තෘප්තිමත් කිරීම සඳහා ඒ වැටුප් එහෙම සාධාරණ වැටුප් ගෙවීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවයක් තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට ඒ තරගකාරීත්වය තුලදී මේ අර සමාජිකයොත් එක්ක තියෙන සම්බන්ධතාවය හරිම වැදගත්. මොකද අපේ ස්ථිර මේ පාරිභෝගික පිරිසක් ඉන්නවා. දැන් අපේ ව්‍යාපාරයට පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙනවා ඔය මරණාධාර සේවාවන්. ඒතර ඒ තුල අනිවාර්යෙන් භාණ්ඩ මිලදී ගැනීම කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ හවුල් වෙන තරමට ප්‍රතිලාභ ලැබෙන තත්ත්වයක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි හැම කෙනාටම සමාන අයිතිවාසිකම් තියෙනවා සමුපකාරය තුල. නමුත් ප්‍රතිලාභ ලැබීමේදී අර වගේ හවුල් වෙන තරමට දැන් මරණාධාරයෙන් එහෙම සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච කෙනෙකුට ඉස්කෝලේ ළමයින්ට සියලුම ළමයින්ට පොත් ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්කමක් තියෙනවා ප්‍රදේශයේ ඉන්න. ඊළඟට මේ ප්‍රදේශයේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට යන හැම ශිෂ්‍යයෙකුටම අපේ සමාජිකයින්ගේ දරුවෙකුට හැම කෙනෙකුටම ශිෂ්‍යත්වයක් දෙනවා. ඒ ශිෂ්‍යත්වයේ සමත් වෙන ළමයින්ට දැන් අර ශිෂ්‍යත්වයේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට යන අයට විශ්වවිද්‍යාල අධ්‍යාපනය අවසන් වෙනකන් ඒ ශිෂ්‍යත්වය අපි ලබා දෙනවා. ඊළඟට පහේ ශිෂ්‍යත්වය ලබන ළමයෙකුට එකවරක් දෙවන දීමනාවක් එහෙම ලබා දෙනවා ශිෂ්‍යත්වය. ඉතින් එහෙම අර සම්බන්ධතාවය ඊළඟට අලවිය මේ වැඩියෙන් භාණ්ඩ මිලදී ගන්න අයට ත්‍යාග ලබා දීමේ වැඩසටහන. ඊළඟට සීට්ටු වගේ දේවල් තුලින් ඒ කට්ටිය වඩා සම්බන්ධ කර ගැනීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙල. එතකොට අවුරුද්දාන්තිමේ නැත්තම් නත්තල මේ දෙසැම්බර් මාසයේ අන්තිමේ එහෙම එතකොට මේ අලෙවිකරණ කටයුත්තක් කරනවා. ඒක ප්‍රොමෝට් කරනවා භාණ්ඩ මිලදී ගැනීම සඳහා ඒවා හරහා. ඉතින් මේ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරයේ සාර්ථකත්වය කරා යන්න නම් ප්‍රධානම වශයෙන් සිද්ධ වෙනවා සමුපකාරයට ස්වාධීනව ගොඩනැගෙන්න වැඩෙන්න ඉඩ සලසන්න. ඊළඟට අපේ ප්‍රජාව අතර තියෙන මේ සමුපකාරයේ පිළිබඳ තියෙන ආකල්පය වෙනස් විය යුතු වෙනවා. මොකද සමුපකාරය කියන එකේ දේශපාලනයට ඉඩ ඇරලා නැත්නම් හොරකමට තියෙන එකක් කියලා අතහැරලා දාලා තියෙනවා. සමුපකාරය කියන්නේ ප්‍රජාවගේ දෙයක්. ඒක නිසා ඒ ප්‍රජාවක් හැටියට අපි කොහොමද මේ සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරයට වඩා මැදිහත් වෙන්නේ? මැදිහත් වෙලා මේ ප්‍රජාවගේ ශක්තිය තුළ ආර්ථික ශක්තිය, සමාජීය ශක්තිය, දේශපාලන ශක්තිය ඒ සියලු දේවල් කොහොමද ගොඩනගා ගන්න කියන එක ප්‍රජාවක් හැටියට අපේ ආකල්ප වෙනසක් අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය ගොඩනගන්න නම්. මම දැඩිව විශ්වාස කරනවා මේ ධනවාදය මේ ලාභ අරමුණු කරගෙන යන සමාජයක් තුළ ඒ තියෙන හොඳම විකල්පය හැටියට සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරය දියුණු කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් ගොඩනගන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒකට හොඳින් මුහුණ දීමේ හැකියාව. විශේෂයෙන්ම දැන් පහුගිය කොවිඩ් සමයේදී මේ මිනිස්සු බොහොම අසරණලා ඉන්නකොට සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරයට පුළුවන් වුණා විශාල දායකත්වයක් ලබා දෙන්න. ඒ සේවාවන් භාණ්ඩ හා සේවා මිනිසුන්ගේ ගෙවල් ළඟට ගිහිල්ලා සපෙමින් එහෙම විශාල දායකත්වයක් ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන් වුණා. ලෝකේ පුරාම අත්දැකීමත් මේ කොවිඩ් වගේ ඒ වගේ ව්‍යසන තත්වයකදී වැඩිම දායකත්වයක් ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙන මේ වගේ ව්‍යාපාර වලට තමයි. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා ඒවැනි ව්‍යාපාරයක අවශ්‍යතාවය දිනෙන් දින වැඩි වෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ සූරාකමට වැඩියෙන් ලක් වෙනකොට වැඩි වැඩියෙන් ඒ අවශ්‍යතාවය මතුවෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපේ ඔළු වෙනස් කරගන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා අපි මේ ව්‍යාපාරයේ ශක්තිමත් කිරීමට යොමු විය යුතුයි කියලා. මේක බැහැර කරලා තියෙන එකක් නොවිය යුතුයි කියන එක. මට මූලිකව කියන්න තියෙන්නේ අර මේ ස්වාධීනව වැඩෙන්න මේකට ඉඩ කඩ ලබා දීම තුලින් තමයි සමුපකාර ව්‍යාපාරේ ගොඩනැගෙන්නේ. ස්තුතියි.
ස්තුතියි බුලත්සිංහ මහත්මයා ඔබගේ අදහස් දැක්වීමට. මම අපි බලාපොරොත්තු ඇත්තටම මේ අදහස් දැක්වීම ඉතාමත් වැදගත් වෙන්න ඇති අපේ සහභාගී වන්නන්ට විශේෂයෙන්ම අපේ උපාධි අපේක්ෂකයන්ට මේ ගැන හිතන්න මේ ගැන ඉදිරියට වැඩ කරන්න. With that thing, I'll move into our next the panelist, Mr. Vikram Singh, and here I wanted to take another dimension for this for our discussion. As we know, the employment is one of the grave problem in Sri Lanka, and everyone wanted to do a job. But no one want to create a job. So that in this context, it's very important for us to promote the entrepreneurship. So that I would like to ask from Mr. Vikram Singh, how we can make use of this social entrepreneurship concept to promote youth entrepreneurship and female entrepreneurship. It's over to you, Mr. Vikram Singh.
Thank you very much. I think that is very important. That is a very important question, and it is the need of the hour. Because we all know that Sri Lanka is kind of struggling at the moment due to this lack of foreign reserve issues, the dollar issue. And this issue is, if you try to recall how it has been there, and the problem was with our balance of payment account. And we were basically importing a lot than what we were exporting, and the balance was found basically by foreign remittance, and also tourism industry and those kind of things. And the foreign remittance played a major role in by contributing to the balance of payment account of Sri Lanka. And it was kind of 7 billion per annum. And we know the majority came from the Middle East, where we send our mothers to those areas, creating a lot of social issues. And we used to import a lot of cars and fuel for them. We had to actually, we can't say that it's wrong, but that was the scenario. And now, after this pandemic situation, and maybe some other reasons as well, and now we are facing kind of problems that we need to overcome as quickly as possible. And so, however, every challenge creates opportunities. So I think this is the moment that the youth of Sri Lanka should capture, because a lot of importations are restrictions, whether it is good or bad, that is the case. So we don't have dollar at the moment to import them. So what does that mean? So that creates an opportunity for local entrepreneurs. So whatever business that you do, that you start, maybe it can be a import replacement, or maybe a new business. Whatever value you create, that at this moment it can be seen as kind of a social entrepreneurship, because that is an issue in the society. We need to save our dollars. So if you can, for example, I will start from an example from the dairy industry, which I know well, and which is the industry that I have been involved in now. So if you can start a small business with 5 cows, so that will really help the country and the industry as well. Because we are talking about queues to purchase milk powder, and the reason is that we can't produce enough milk powder for the countries, that we lack the required raw material, that is raw milk. So there are plenty of opportunities for the youth of this country to produce that and sell to the companies. And there are several companies who are buying milk in the country now, and there is a huge competition among the companies to source raw milk. And for example, if we take our company, the Highland, the competition that we are facing is not in the market end. In the consumer side, we are facing less competition compared to the sourcing side, input side. So inbound logistic is the critical part at this moment of all the dairy companies in Sri Lanka. So the dairy farmers are getting more and more value. Their prices have been increased by at least 30% during the last couple of years. So, and it is projected to be increased because of the demand surpass the supply. So therefore, there are plenty of opportunities like that, not only in dairy industry, but in many industries, because you know that since the importation is restricted to some extent due to these issues, so this has created a lot of opportunity. And also we experience something that, unfortunately, even though there are a lot of opportunities, we are getting more applications for jobs from maybe from the rural areas, agricultural areas. People try to come to Colombo and try to find a fixed job for their life, but they don't see the repercussions. So when you're stuck in the town, you have to face a lot of problems. You need to find out food, you need to find out lodging, so you have to spend them. Then you are not getting a salary at the beginning, especially, and even it's not growing that much. But if you start a small dairy farm, so each year your cow give you a capital. That means cow gives you another cow in each year. So if you buy a vehicle, the vehicle doesn't produce a vehicle itself, but cow does. So it gives you at least 5 or 6 cows. So, I mean, if you start with 2 cows, within 5 years, you can go up to 7 or 6, 8 cows. So the growth is there itself. So the capital is growing from the capital. So it's a kind of business that if you buy capital, the capital is grown by the capital itself. It's a unique advantage that you have. I mean, so therefore you can start in a small scale and the nature will grow your business. So therefore you need to see those opportunities. I mean, you don't have to, if you don't have enough capital with your hand, the dairy industry might be something that you can think of, because the capital grows capital. So, and I have been always thinking that the youth of Sri Lanka lacks the courage to take the risk. They always want to be in the comfort zone. They always want to make sure, not everyone, but the majority want to make sure that they get a paycheck at the end of the month. But that is not the need of the hour in the country. And if you look at the papers, when Sri Lankans want to get engaged in the marriage, so always they are trying to advertise for persons with a fixed job, maybe for a government job or a job that is they are getting a monthly paycheck. But instead, if you value your effort, if you try to put your effort on the agriculture, maybe, and even in this situation, if you try to produce inputs that is required for agriculture, there are a lot of opportunities, but only few will grab those opportunities, but they will make sure that their future is well planned and they can earn many more than people who are want to be in their comfort zone. So what the youth of this country has to be understand is that this is the need. So we need entrepreneurs who can create more jobs and who can add more value to the economy. Even now, if you publish something in the newspaper, we get plenty of applications, which is very hard to sort out even. But if you're trying to interview them, and in they have some resources that they can start their own business in their village, and by being able to in the village, they are exposed to more freedom, they are exposed to better culture, and they can stay with their loved ones, and all the benefits are there. And even if you try to come to Colombo and stuck here, you can't save anything actually in most of the cases, because you have to spend more for food, spend more for lodging, and then when you at the end of the month, what you have earned has been spent for your living, so which makes no sense. So instead, if you try to get out from your comfort zone and try to do something from your own by creating some jobs to other people, and creating your own future yourself, that will really help the country and the country's economy at the moment. And this is the moment that the lot of opportunities are there. Because when there is no challenge, the opportunities are less. When there are more challenges, opportunities are more. Because when we have problems, then there is a space for solutions. So this is a time that there are kind of problems are there. Maybe people might be thinking about this is not the right business environment and those things. But you have, as a social entrepreneur, you have to look it at a different angle. So when there are problems, you can come up with solutions which can convert it into social entrepreneurship and profit for you and income for you. I think there are lots of things that is available. So we have plenty of research institutions, and you can get more information from those if you go to coconut development, rubber research board, tea board, and there are a lot of research institutions. They have research done, and you can find out what is possible in the area that you want to engage in. And there is a lapse in how those research are converted into wealth, but that gap can be filled. You need to be a little bit explorative at this moment, and you have to be focused and commitment. You can make one mistake, that's fine, and without making mistake, you can't be an entrepreneur. You have to make a mistake, but by your mistake you learn something. You need to have courage. You need to kill your fear. So if you are a very risk averse person, you cannot be an entrepreneur. Then you have to work for monthly paycheck, but that is less satisfaction, I would say. To take the challenge, and for youth it's very easy to take the challenge, because it's a challenging time anyway for their life. So first of all, why don't you take a challenge like Mark Zuckerberg did, right? So many entrepreneurs who are world famous because of they took the challenge, not because of they work for a paycheck, right? So if you want to work for monthly paycheck, you will never become an entrepreneur. So take the risk. So jump into the pool and try to swim. You can swim. I'm not saying jump into the pool without learning anything. You have to learn something. But if you learn, but still if you don't jump into the pool, then you will never swim. So those two has to be connected. So you have to learn and you have to swim, and while swimming, you have to learn how to swim. And those two has to be combined. So the environment is right for social entrepreneurship. Whatever value you make at this moment, considering the context in the country, can be considered as a social entrepreneurship, because we need more and more industry to grow up. We need local entrepreneurs to grow up. We need job creators to grow up, and opportunities are there because the challenges are there. No opportunities without challenges. Thank you very much.
We were sitting in the audience and you provided us the very good insights how we can go forward. And my first question, of course, it's not a question. uh, so, uh, so I would first of all I would like to hear from Professor Jay. And my question is now. Recently, I read an article, and at there I saw that because of this pandemic, people are facing lots of problems, and simultaneously for that community-based organizations, which means the organizations or the small movements have been created, and that and I saw in that article now these small movements are growing up as social enterprises throughout the world. And what is going on in Australia? Are there so many movements because of this pandemic, and are they growing into social enterprises? So what's going on? I'm just curious to know.
So thank you, Dr. Jayawardena. That's an interesting question. Now we are in a pandemic situation, and also we are closer to the post-pandemic or the tail end of the pandemic. And people are now thinking about the endemic situation, that is COVID-19 is going to be something like a flu when the whole society is vaccinated, and many people have even the booster shot. Now, what we saw in the early stages of the pandemic, in many countries, there were lockdowns. And as a result, all the businesses had a real problem. How are you going to engage with your customers? Particularly when if you are having a face-to-face business. For example, whether if you are selling something to your customers, assume that's a supermarket, or maybe a vendor in the Sunday market, or whatever thing do. We have a situation where even the doctors, the general practitioners, now in a lockdown situation, you can't engage with your customers. At that time, of course, rich countries, they looked after their people, and they had money, which you can't do in a poor country or maybe low-income country like in Sri Lanka. But what we saw in that time was the first businesses that went basically came to a grinding halt were the entertainment industry, like performance art industry, like the artists who are making prasanga vedika, that is people who are doing music concerts and having state dramas, and they were forced to starve. And it happened in Australia as well. But what the businesses that were thriving was the people who can operate on a online platform. A good example can be universities, and they had face-to-face classes, and we had face-to-face classes. But in the lockdown situation, the students can't come to the university. Now you have to go online. The organization that were quickly able to transform their value delivery through an online platform were successful. And that's how the universities survived. I'm sure in Sri Lanka, even Uvavela's university quickly transformed to an online platform. So in that context, what we have seen is that the social enterprises will have a really difficult situation. It's a very ironical situation. On one side, big companies are not donating money anymore because they are in trouble. They can't make money. And the first thing they will do is they will stop donations to the social enterprises. And so from in that scenario, your income is going to be slashed down, and you are placed in a very vulnerable situations that we have seen all the world. At the same time, so many people are unemployed, and they require a lot of support. Even in Sri Lanka, we saw that when the government was unable to provide things like vegetables, there were so many volunteers. They were coming and helping. They were hiring their own car, vehicle, truck, and then bringing their produce to poor people. So the situation is that in a pandemic situation, the value of social enterprise will be more, very important. This is a real ironical situation. You are not getting enough money, no donations, but at the same time, people who are depending on your services are more. So what we saw was that in the general situation, the social enterprises moved onto online platforms, and the people who were able to do that survived. For example, people started, for example, refugee education classes. They moved onto platforms, social media platforms, and people are conducting dancing classes online on using Zoom. And in basically what we are, I think, without taking much time, so what we have seen is that now in the height of the pandemic, there were lockdowns. There was a disconnect between the organization and the customer. So you had to move all the social enterprises were. Some people went what you call belly up. That means they were bankrupt. But at the same time, a lot of people survived by cutting down your expenses and also delivering most of their services to an online platform. And at the same time, there are new social enterprises coming into the scene and trying to address a social issue. I think that's what we saw in general. I'm not sure whether I answered your question fully, Dr. Javadana. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, thank you very much, Professor J. And do you mind? Can I ask one more question? Okay. So just thank you for being very kind, Dr. Mahinda Ratna. So I'll post my last question, and it goes to Lasanta. Uh, Hello, Lasanta. I think you can hear me. Um, and yes, and I remember I invited you for a couple of presentations in my social entrepreneurship course, and at there you clearly explain how your value chain and how this social component is strongly embedded in each and every part in your value chain. So I think the country needs more enterprises like you, I mean, who are not purely hunting the profit, but thinking about the social side as well. So in your case, I mean, they are mutually strongly linked. I mean, the profit end and the social end, because if the community, if the farmer groups are going down, it will directly affect the profit, and the profit will go down. I mean, my concern is, I'm just curious to know, in a time of a pandemic, how you are balancing these two ends, like the profit, the financial aspect, and the mission aspect. In your case, they are strongly interlinked. So, Lasanta, I'm just curious to know what are the practical challenges you face in balancing these two ends? I mean, achieving the financial goals and achieving the social goals. Thank you very much.
I think that is a very important question. If you take the time that we faced the pandemic, that is during the 2020 at the beginning, so the company has not been doing well for the for 3 years from 2017 to 2019. For the year 2019, it had recorded about 800 million loss. But in the year 2020, we could record a 400 million profit, and also the amount of profit that we made for the last year is very similar. It's around 400 million. So the financial wise, we have been able to pay almost all our debts now. So now we are financially well established. We are strong in that area now. Our bank's rating also has gone up. So, and we are stable in financial wise. And as you said, the main reason that the company has not been doing for last, I mean, not the last, but from 2017 to 2019 was due to that the company has not been able to keep the trust and promises to its stakeholders. When the new management took the company, that we saw the main issue as the deteriorating the trust from the farmers, dairy farmers. So we need to make sure that we restore the trust. So which we did at the beginning when the company were making losses, we still stepped out and increased the milk prices to farmers, and the payments were not paying at time. They were delaying. We make sure that it is rectified at the very beginning, and the milk prices, raw milk price also increased. And by doing that, we should we could transfer a clear message to our dairy farmers. The company is doing okay, and it is coming back to the previous situation. And we has had a long relationship with dairy farmers in Sri Lanka. It goes back to 1956, when the company was first started as the National Milk Board in 1956. And after that, there has been a lot of changes to the model of the company and the business. However, the relationship that we had with our dairy farmers were decades long. So we could restore that trust first with our major stakeholder, that is dairy farmers in Sri Lanka. So without having a better relationship with dairy farmers, we don't have a journey, as you said. So it is the most important thing for our company. So first of all, we could restore it, and then we were hit by the pandemic. And you know, when it comes to milk, it is highly perishable. We can't wait until even a day. Unlike in many other agricultural products, we have to process them on the same day or the next day. And it has to be transported and kept in the chilled value chain. And however, we are proud that we didn't let dairy farmers in Sri Lanka to pour their milk. We could purchase their harvest from the day one when the pandemic was started. We didn't know actually what is this pandemic and what is this corona means and how it affects, but we decided anyhow we are going to collect milk throughout the country. And Milko, though it's a private company, in its name, it's 100% owned by the Treasury. So it is registered in the Companies Act as any other private company, and the sole owner is the Treasury. So therefore it's become a state-owned enterprise as well. And many would think that the government employees, I mean, employees of our company is kind of government employees, because this is an SOE, state-owned enterprise. But I'm really proud about them, because they make it very clear that we don't let our dairy farmers to pour their milk. We are going to purchase their harvest. And each month, when the pandemic time was there, we were paying about 500 million a month for our rural dairy farmers for their harvest. So from doing that, we could continue pumping money to our rural economies. And for the last year, we have paid about 6 billion as the payment for their milk, when our turnover was about 12 billion, and exactly half of that goes to the dairy farmers in the country as their milk payment. So the trust is the key in that case. When we restore the trust, they start giving more milk to our company. And when we have milk company, we have always ensured from history that we produce the best quality products to our consumers. Therefore, we are not facing a big challenge in the competition in our finished goods. They are converted to cash in a couple of days once they are in the market. So our cash flow is strong in that case because we are doing marketing in a way it is taught in the textbook. So we start from the product. Maybe we are not that spending and communication, but our communication media is basically consumers. Consumer is our advertiser. So that's how we are thinking about our product. So we are a product focused company when it comes to marketing. We don't spend that much on advertising because we know our consumers are doing what we need when it comes to communication. Word of mouth is what we believe on. We put all those money that we would have put on advertising for our product development. We have very strong research and development team. Recently we introduced a new ice cream range, which is in the export quality, which can be matched with any European brand when it comes to taste and the quality. And those are the values that we believe. So we believe in the trust that we make. We have to maintain with our all stakeholders, especially dairy farmers and also with the consumers. It is also the trust. I think the answer for your question is one word. Even though I try to explain it, taking maybe 5 minutes, the answer is one word. How we survive and how we progress through the pandemic series, facing some difficulties for us last 3 years, is basically by restoring the trust. Trust is the key.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vikram. Thank you very much, Dr. Komudu Jayawardena, for the question and for our panelists for the responses. And herewith we have come to the end of this the forum. And actually we had a very fruitful and very productive forum, and there we have been able to discuss the importance of social entrepreneurship and the prospect and possibilities for social entrepreneurship, particularly the marketing trends and strategies relevant to social entrepreneurship. And again, we touch upon some of the models and strategies for promoting the social entrepreneurship. So that I am pretty sure that these insights are very much relevant and very much important for our viewers, particularly to our undergraduates, to shape up their the future career on entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. And as a take-home, the takeaway message of our session, we can say that the social entrepreneurship is a way forward for solving the socio-economic issues in the contemporary society. So that we are about to conclude the session, and I'll take this opportunity to thank our the distinguished panelists, Dr. Chandra Amuldeniya, the Professor J. Veerawardena, Mr. Lasantha Wickramasinghe, and the Mr. Vincent Abulasinghe for your contribution. Thank you very much, sir, for spending your valuable time despite your busy schedules, and thank you very much, and we wish you a very happy new year. And once again, I would like to thank all the viewers, participants for attending this session. Thank you very much and have a very nice day. And I got one final message, notice for the participants. We are going to start our next roundtable discussion around 11 o'clock, so that we kindly invite you to attend that session also. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
So we have now come to the end of the Social Entrepreneurship and Marketing Trends Roundtable discussion moderated by Dr. M.G.P.P. Mahindaratna and the eminent panelists. We are really grateful for disseminating your expertise, knowledge, and also for extending your valuable time with us to this forum. Now I cordially invite Ms. Sanjeevani Munasinghe, Head Society of the British Council, to give away a token of appreciation to Dr. M.G.P.P. Mahindaratna. Thank you, madam. With that, please join us at the lobby of the E1 hall for refreshments. And also, I would like to remind you about the second roundtable discussion session, which will start at 11 o'clock. And I really appreciate your participation for that. And also, as you all can witness in front of this hall, there's a group of social entrepreneurs who have displayed their products, and we also cordially invite you for that exhibition. Thank you.